Chapter 19. The circumstances of that Thursday night left Cassandra so baffled that, for among the first times in her life, she wondered if everything was set up to her detriment. With the adoration the next day, she was not even planning to go out that night. Bruce approved that request. Unless circumstances were dire, she would not be called. At just after 9 p.m., Dick put in a frantic call from Arkham Asylum. "Every light just went out and I can hear machine gun fire from out here," he said. "How the hell did they even do it? We've been watching this place since they dropped the hint." "It must have been an inside job," Bruce spoke as he pulled on his cowl. "We'll have everyone down there in 30. Count on it. See if you can get the power back on in the meantime." From over the communicator, everyone heard Nightwing dodge behind cover as bullets ricocheted in the background. "That's gonna be easier said than done. Looks like it's a lot of nameless guys running around right now, but if Zash, Ten-Eyed Man, or Joker show up, it's only gonna get a lot worse. Don't worry about Joker. I don't think he's going to try anything. He doesn't like to take advantage of any situation he didn't create by himself. I'd be a lot more concerned with Croc." "Crap, he's in here too? I thought you said things were slow around here." "It has been." A snarl crept into Batman's voice. "It's been slow because we'd already locked them all up. It doesn't matter. Do what you can. We'll be out there as soon as possible." He turned to Tim and Cassandra, both as they pulled their uniforms on. "We need to get out of here now. Cassandra, you're riding with me. Tim, any chance you can keep Spoiler to the city?" "Do you have any idea who you're talking about?" Tim asked. "Fine. Sooner or later I need to upgrade her equipment. She's your responsibility tonight. Cassandra," he turned to her. "I'm sorry again, but we need every set of hands we can get." Cassandra swiftly pulled on her mask and climbed into the Batmobile. Batman was only a few steps behind her, and in seconds, the two were blasting out of the cave, headed for the asylum. Through the crowded streets, the vehicle raced. Batman seemed unusually on edge as he kept his foot slammed on the gas. To her surprise, Cassandra found herself praying at one point that he not crash into anything. He crossed the town, unwound his radio, and tried to get a hold of Commissioner Gordon. After a minute with one hand on the wheel, Gordon answered. "Batman? Is that you?" "Yes, Jim. I got word from Nightwing. Arkham Asylum is under siege." "What else is new?" Gordon uttered a groan. "Someone supplied them with firearms this time." "What? Who's behind this?" "We're sure it's that Seraphim figure. It's certainly ambitious enough to be him." "Damn it! I hate these fresh faces. They go so out of their way to prove themselves. I'll get as many of my guys down to you as soon as I can. But you're going to have to get things started." "Affirmative. We're less than 5 miles away. We'll be on their heels shortly." With that, he ended the transmission with Gordon and pressed 2 fingers to his cowl. "Oracle, were you able to access the security cameras inside the asylum?" "I have, and it looks bad. Mind-bent Joker goons all over the first level. Some raving non-allied convicts jumping off the 2nd story to try to tackle them. Looks like Hatter's trying to rally some." "I just took out Zash, but the bastard got some good cuts in," Nightwing radioed. "It's only gonna get worse. Please tell me you're almost here. Count on it." Batman drove the swerving path to Arkham with ease, despite the Batmobile's ridiculous speed, and forced straight through the giant gate. Batgirl briefly got a look as Nightwing dodged behind a broken-down car for cover as madmen with guns ran toward them, firing at the car without second thought. Batman slowed the vehicle. "Get out and help Nightwing. I'll clear us a path to the asylum." After a shared nod, Batman opened the top of the Batmobile. Batgirl leapt out and landed in the midst of the firefight. The crazed gunmen turned their attentions from Nightwing, not toward Batgirl, but to the Batmobile. The distraction allowed Nightwing and Batgirl to get the edge. The ones nearest to Nightwing were quickly knocked out, either by darts fired from his gauntlets or a quick flurry of strikes from his Eskrima sticks. Batgirl dispatched hers with well-placed strikes to the chest and neck, and knocked them unconscious. Batman drove the car through the courtyard and fired a few warning shots of rubber bullets towards the adjacent buildings, as if to dare anyone in the asylum to try attacking them. Either out of knowledge of his refusal to kill or the madness that brought them to the asylum in the first place, some continued to attack, but were instantly dispatched by another blast of rubber. Batgirl and Nightwing caught up as the remaining few tossed down their weapons and raised their hands in surrender. Batman stepped past them and opened the door to the madhouse. The gunfire that was already so loud outside became deafening as it echoed through the asylum's corridors. Bloody bodies laid amongst mounting destruction, though, to the surprise of all 3 of them, the main hall was not running amok with inmates. Only 15 adversaries stood in a line of 8 and a line of 7, glazed-over looks in their eyes as the mousy voice of Jervis, the Mad Hatter Tetch, came out from somewhere in the many square walkways above them.
Tisk, tisk, tisk. You're very late to tea, Batman. And I'm trying to celebrate today. The men in the masks wanted me to have a very special unbirthday. Yes, they did.
People are dying, Tesh, Batman shouted. Let us through. If you let this riot go on, you'll soon be one of them. He tried to take a step forward, but was blocked by several rounds of pistol fire from one of the men in the front row. The Hatter called down,
No, 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 Batman. That's not how you play chess. You're trying to cheat.
Batman's eyes darted at the 15 he stood against, and he noted those in the front row only wielded handguns. Those in the second had a variety of larger weapons. One individual, who he now noted wore an oversized blonde wig, held a rocket launcher. Batgirl, I'm guessing you don't know how to play chess, Nightwing said. Sorry. The 3 stood against the 15 as more sounds could be heard raging down the halls. Then, in a quick move, Batman threw a batarang directly at the man in the wig. The impact cut his forehead, caught him off guard, and forced him to drop the launcher. The pawns moved forward and began to fire as Nightwing pulled a small electrical explosive from his side and threw it into their midst. A pulse ran through the ground and shocked the 4 closest to it. Not to be outdone, Batgirl took a leap to the center of the other 4, smashed first her elbows into the 2 behind her, leapt forward and crashed the remaining 2's heads together. Batman, to their surprise, didn't rush to attack the others. Instead, he raised a grapple claw and ascended to the upper walkway. As Batgirl and Nightwing continued to battle the chess pieces, each received a few bullet grazes as a result. After a second, as they both grew short on breath, Batman emerged from the walkway. The Mad Hatter screamed and struggled in his grip as he was held over the side of the railing. I've captured the king, Batman said. Call them off.
Checkmate!
The Mad Hatter screamed in the same way a beaten man would say, Uncle.
Checkmate!
As he said it, the men Batgirl and Nightwing faced fell unconscious. Each of them hit the ground one after another. Batman returned the Hatter to the walkway and delivered a punch to his jaw that neutralized him. Clear their bodies, Batman said. No one else needs to die because of him tonight. It was a quick process between the 3 of them, though it gave them all a good chance to look at the destruction that was already in place as the bodies were strewn about. Robin came in over his communicator and confirmed he and Spoiler were on their way. Batman gave that a grim nod and motioned that Nightwing and Batgirl should proceed ahead of him. Batgirl silently considered the dead men, some of whom she was sure she'd captured herself. Even before all she'd read with Stephanie, she would have felt moved with pity for the dead, but now she felt something more like sympathy. Jesus had suffered horrors for trying to help others. These men were insane, surely, but that's also why they weren't killed by the state in the first place. Madmen didn't deserve this kind of punishment for what they couldn't understand. Quietly, she prayed, please, that they did not suffer. But she also remembered the promise he made to the man crucified next to him. Today, you will join me in paradise. They had still committed crimes, still dealt wrongs unto others. Could they deserve peace in spite of that? When she thought on her own mistakes, Batgirl shoved those thoughts out of her mind. They were questions for the next day. At last, the 3 arrived in the asylum's main hall. Of the scenes they'd already witnessed, the main hall was by far the worst. The statue of Amadeus Arkham stood riddled with bullet dents. Bodies laid spread across the ground and blood soaked the floor. Men shot and strangled one another all across the room, as a circle of the Seraphim's cohorts, including another 4 of the Cherubim wielding sniper rifles, stood at the watch. When the inmates turned toward the Bat family, several with guns in their hands raised them to fire, but those who dared were blasted with shots from the snipers. In the center of the room, near the statue, sat a tiny office surrounded by bulletproof glass, a lone figure evident inside. Though his body was obscured by the protective glass, it was clear he was standing. A microphone linked to the speakers around the hall was in his hand. Silence! The figure commanded. The Batman has finally arrived. Raise a gun to him and the Cherubim will blow you to hell. Batman and Batgirl stared intently at the office. The voice and pronunciation made it unquestionable. This was the Seraphim. As a few more inmates raised their weapons toward Batman, the 4 Cherubim sealed their fates, as Batman himself now commanded, Enough! To his surprise, no one said anything for a few seconds, before a high-pitched voice yelled, "Yeah! Let's hear what the psycho who dumped a bunch of guns across Arkham has to say to the Bat." The family's eyes turned toward the northeast corner of the room, where the white-faced menace, the Joker, sat cross-legged in his orange asylum jumpsuit. He tapped his fingers together with a wide smile on his face. "And you can quit glaring at me, Batman. I didn't mount this attack. I'm not interested in it at all. I just want to see what's going to happen." A few men turned towards Joker and aimed to take shots, but the cherubim quickly dispatched them as well. The seraphim followed the attacks by proclaiming, "The clown is mine too!" As more inmates dropped dead, the room finally went quiet enough for the mastermind to continue. "Welcome to the Philistine camp, Batman. I'm impressed a heathen like yourself managed to make sense of the message my underling slipped. Rest assured, he's been damned." "We have nothing to discuss," Batman said. "You're a self-righteous, murderous zealot, and not the first one I've defeated either." "Rest assured I will be the last of them," the seraphim said. "I have come to deliver this cursed city its fate. Look around you. This is Gotham's natural state, mere moments away from every civilian tearing one another apart." "Hey, I've been saying that for years!" The Joker needed to shout to be heard over the commotion. "This is hardly original material." "Be silent, damn you!" The seraphim pounded the desk in front of him. "You'll have your moment to be judged. But the Batman has proven himself all too eager to witness the power and the glory." Batgirl could listen to no more. "This is not the will of God," she said. "Not what Jesus died for." "Steady yourself, Batgirl," Batman ordered. "You disgrace him with this destruction. You are no angel. You're like the ones he cured, full of demons." The cherubim turned their snipers toward her. Then they froze as if they waited for some command. To everyone's surprise, the seraphim said, "Hold your fire!" and the rifles were lowered. "She is foolish and misinformed. But there is no more welcome a convert than a former enemy. Batman is our only true foe. It is his actions more than any others that have prevented God's will from coming to fruition. Let his disciples live. They can surely be made to see the light." Batgirl shouted, "We'll never be like you!" "And you will never have a hand over any of my students," Batman said. "If you're so convinced you're some weapon of destruction, call off your snipers and face me on your own. After all, if God is with you, who can stand against you?" The Joker looked down at his bare arm as if checking the time. "Where the hell is Harley with my delivery?" "Very well, Batman," the obscured figure said. "If this city's reckoning is to come tonight, then you shall disappear among the asylum's casualties. I came to act as Gideon, but you have turned me into Ehud, sent to finally bring the stab that slays the conquering emperor." The seraphim paused in place behind the bulletproof glass for a few seconds, before a gigantic outline spread across his back. He took several steps forward, exited the office, and came into view. The seraphim stood tall, just shy of 7 feet. Upon his chest he wore armor modeled after the Crusaders. A long, blood-red cross decorated the front of his plate. His armor was sleeveless, though several tubes led from his back to an oversized gauntlet on his arms. Like some of his underlings, those arms were covered in tattoos from the Enochian alphabet. 2 small angel wings sprouted from the side of his belt, which covered the tops of his legs and poorly hid the gun strapped to his side. The outline that formed as he left the office proved to be another large pair of wings that were attached somewhere to his back. In his right hand he clutched a large, wave-bladed sword, it too with several modifications, pipes and tubing running along it. His face was covered by a helmet, though his lips were visible and his eyes obscured further by a final pair of tiny wings, covering where they would conceivably be. Here the seraphim stood, in all his haunting exultation. "So tell me then, Batman." The seraphim flashed a devilish smile as he approached, and adjusted the valves on his left gauntlet. "Does one such as yourself know what a seraphim is?" "Is it someone with terrible fashion sense?" the Joker asked. "Ignoring the fact you use the plural instead of the singular, it's a class of angel. It means the burning one." "Very well spoken, Batman." The seraphim's voice was mocking. As he finished fiddling with his unseen mechanism, he twisted a valve on the hilt of his sword before clenching his left hand. A jet of flame immediately burst forth. Every eye in the room now focused on him as he raised the burning gauntlet to his sword, igniting it as well as Batman looked on in unease. He's got to have a tank on his back full of fuel, and another one attached to his sword. Batman turned for just a moment toward Nightwing and Batgirl. Keep clear of that thing, you two. This is my fight. Faces of the Shadowbim! Secure the Batman's disciples! As the Seraphim gave his command, the four descended from their place on the walkways. And though I burn as we begin, Batman, rest assured. He raised the flaming sword and took his stance. It will be you who burns in the end.